My Lords, I rise to support my noble friend Baroness Barron, and also to associate myself with Amendment 104 in the name of Baroness Walmsley, whom it's a pleasure to follow. Now, the Welfare Food Regulations 1996 lay out in astonishing detail the importance of milk to those who are entitled to it for the early years. And whilst there are different regulatory regimes in Scotland and the rest of Great Britain, it is clear that certain children, in certain circumstances, are entitled to dried milk or fresh milk in prescribed portions per week, either by age, by those whose families are on financial assistance for low income, for the Healthy Start, which would include expectant mothers, or those who have children otherwise under 4, and of course, for some people, children, but not necessarily children, but with certain physical and mental difficulties of any age. I think you'll find, my Lords, it's common ground on all sides of this House that the provision of milk as part of a healthy diet is a good thing. But the regulations provide for this milk to be dispensed, if I can use that word, in maternity or healthcare centres, part of the National Health Service, but also in other welfare or food distribution centres. But, my Lords, the world has changed, and these settings are no longer the only places where people access help. The NHS, which may work from 9 to 5, or a food distribution centre which may only open for a few mornings a week, are not necessarily the only places nowadays where people can access the help they need. And those settings are just not as thick on the ground, at times that are convenient to families, as things used to be. Now, I don't deny the good work of those settings, but others are available under the same regulations, and some of them are even paid for by the state as well. And my noble friend Baroness Barron laid out the importance of childminders and childminder agencies as a part of the mix that helps provide time and space for families to get into work so they can earn and improve their family circumstances, with the flexibility to take different jobs which may be available on a part-time, out of hours or seasonal basis. So these settings, the childminder agencies, are relevant, they're local, they're flexible, they're professional, and we've heard they are regulated. But for some reason, they're not trusted by these regulations to dispense milk, either in the liquid form or the dry powders. And it just serves no purpose to exclude them. This is why these amendments are so important, because to exclude the most accessible settings from the ability to provide milk and other healthy foods isn't just bad for them, it's bad for the children. And I just can't understand for a wordly why one setting is good and the other's bad. But there's another string to this argument also. And that's not only is it bad for the children and the settings themselves, but it's bad for the economy. Because there are 1.8 million dairy cows in this country with a herd size average 225, and that's a number that's doubled in the last 50 years since 1975. Significant parts of the West Country are devoted to dairying, milk production, cheese production, and so forth. I see my noble friend, the Baroness Williams, sitting just before me on the front bench, and she's from the Cheshire Plains, and she will know more than anybody how important of a piece of work that dairy farmers do, rising early to milk and care for their cows and herds in rain or shine, suffering, as they have done in the last 2 months, a 30% reduction in the price of liquid milk from the dairies. So it's not just the children that need all the help they can get, it's our dairy farmers too. And I see, and whilst this of course is a subsidiary point to the main thrust of Amendment 98 in the name of my noble friend Baroness Barron, it is a consideration. But the main thrust is that we must stop this arbitrary division that forms gaps between different sorts of settings. One that says only the NHS can be trusted to dispense milk, and those where the childminders or these CMAs aren't trusted either. If we really have the interests of the child at heart, then we need to have as many settings that can dispense good food and milk and associated products at times that are convenient for the busy lives that families lead, rather than just straitjacket them in to the 9 to 5 and think, well, that is good enough.